What is up? Matt Pratt here, and today we are going to put some time in on this Porsche. Now, as you guys have noticed, you guys have probably never seen a front bumper on it. Well, there's a reason for that. We've been through so many front bumpers and they all have been terrible. We've had so many issues ordering new bumpers. We don't like OEM. We've done used, we've done aftermarket. It's just most of the companies in the US don't have a great bumper that they can get to us fast. It seems like all of the decent bumpers come from outside of the US. Until we found one bumper, and this bumper is kind of special. So this bumper here, you know, you can tell it used to be on an actual race car. A lot of these fiberglass that we get actually come from race cars, and they're not in the best quality. They're not for a car like this that we're trying to make really nice. But it seems that even though it's used, that this one has been in the best shape so far. Just the issue is we got to take all these holes out, and you can tell we have to modify it to fit. All these holes got to come out too. We possibly are going to run a diffuser, but we're not going to run all these gaudy holes on this thing. This thing is not a race car. It's just going to have race car, you know, body panels on it. So the first step to this thing is removing all of this stuff, and then we're going to have to modify it to fit. It looks like I can run with this line right here, but if I could get that line to just tuck in a little bit with the fender, I think we'll be happy with it. So, all right, strip this thing off, take all the hardware out, and then we can start chopping it up. Alright, we got all them stupid race car rivets out, we got the Zeus fasteners out, and now we can take a look at how the hell we want this thing to fit. I kind of like how far it comes out here. I just don't like how far it comes out here. So I think if we like section it right here, and we can pull this whole side in, and we can make it come out and run right into the fender. I think we're gonna try that first, see what happens. That's kind of like safe instead of making it run all the way in like that. All right, mix it. So we were worried about when we cut this that we're going to lose our shape out here, because we want it, it's a wide body Porsche, we want to have a wide body bumper, but it actually doesn't look too bad. You know, when we're narrowing it, it's definitely going to narrow it, but I just want to make sure this part still looks somewhat aggressive. Yeah, I think that will work. I'll just hit a line right here and then trim it, and then we can mate that up and cross our fingers and see what happens. We're gonna have to figure out how to get this shape with the fender. I know I can let it stick out a hair and it'll look okay. Whatever, I'm gonna mark it up and cut it. I think that looks pretty good. The only issue I'm having with this bumper is that this is so squared out compared to how round this is, and to give this bumper its same contour, it would be such a pain in the butt. I mean, we would be pie cutting it. We might be able to like dig this out and re-glass that area just to give it a little bit of a swoop. But I've paid attention to a lot of other Porsche bumpers. We just looked at them all on the internet, and a lot of these big blocky bumpers are blocky around where they fit up too. So I don't know if I'm being too picky
or whatever, but this splice looks really good. We trimmed a little bit out of it to shorten it. We are gonna have to build it back to here. This is just how the bumper came. But now we're trying to make sure that this bumper is fucking centered. I guess this hole would be centered on that car.
You would think, and then this one looks like it's a little off this way. So you think center's about right there.
Let's see some here.
Maybe this bumper here.
We're just gonna make sure that mark lines up with that. I think if it's off by a centimeter, it's not gonna be that noticeable. All right, I'm going to grind it up, throw some fiber on that thing, and then we can chop up the other side. Alright, you guys seen me do this 100 times. You know, I just make my cut, I dig out the fiberglass a little bit, got my trusty fiber all, and I put that on there just to support the front. This is kind of like a temporary thing, just so I can put some fiberglass on the back side of it. That's going to be my real support, and then I'll sand this down and probably re-fiberglass it. It's just something I do just to hold the bumper there. I'll be able to take these clamps off soon, and the bumper will be able to be supported by itself. And then I could really work it with adjustments and everything like that. Now I kind of cut too much fiberglass out of here and in here. I just was cutting and I didn't realize that I was going to need all that, but that's okay because I'm going to mat that all back in there eventually when I do the back side and build the back lip. So but yeah, it looks good. We're going to let this dry and then we're going to cut up the other side and hope that we get the same effect, because this bumper looks pretty good. Alright, got this thing cut, and I swear, one side always ends up better than the other. Usually your second side looks the best. So here we go. I think that looks really, really good. Now I kind of messed up with the cut here. I'm gonna have to fill that. Kind of a big gap, but I like the way it runs with the fender here. I was like adjusting it, trying to get the other side to run like that. This side isn't so sharp compared to this side. It's a lot sharper, but I know I can like flatten that out a little bit. It looks like it pokes out more on this side either, but it really doesn't. It's just the way it looks. But that's okay, because I'll form the other side like that since it goes so well with the fender. All right, so you know the next step. I'm gonna have to, you know, dig this out and throw a little bit of fiberglass filler in there. After that, we can take this whole thing off and start laying glass on the inside. She is sitting pretty good. I'm just trying to let this stuff dry up, harden up really well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clean my area up because this place is a freaking mess. And then we're going to take the bumper, put it on a stand, and then prep the back of it out so we can prep the back of it out to put some fiberglass on there. That's what we're gonna do. We are on the operating table with this front bumper. Now, all I got to do is buzz this stuff down, prep it all out, get it ready for fiberglass. I got to do the same thing with all these holes. We got to fill all those holes. And right here, I made some earlier cuts, which I thought I was doing good, along with the inside of the fender, because it was hitting stuff. I definitely cut it way too short. I didn't even have to touch it over here. So what I'm going to do, those pieces that I cut off right there, I'm actually going to prep those out, and I'm going to lay some fiberglass over it. Now, this is just the first time we're going to lay fiberglass on this. I still have to build a lip here, and I have to build a lip there, but I want to make sure I get the bumper mounted on there and fastened so I can really cut the arch out to match the fender arch. I don't feel like it's I don't think it's as dead on as I want it to be. Someone has previously cut this before for some reason, maybe because of an oversized tire, and I just want to make sure that I get the roundness right before I build a lip in there. So, all right, let's prep this sucker out and get some fiberglass laying on it. I want this thing to dry overnight. Alright, I got my area prepped out pretty good. I'm not going to go too crazy with this fiberglass. I don't want to make this bumper super heavy, but I think if I get like 6 to 8 inches wide over this, I think it'll be good enough to hold it. I just took 40 grit all to it after digging this area out. Should be good enough to hold my resin on there. So let's mix up some resin and start laying this stuff down. Believe it or not, the resin and glass is laid. We laid just about 2 layers on each part and over all the holes. I've used this fiberglass mat before. It's kind of transparent. 3 would probably be better for something more structural, but like I said, we're just seaming 2 things together. I think it's going to be okay. On the other side of all these repairs and modifications, we'll have a lot thicker fiberglass fiberall filler on it, so the strength will be there. But it's all on there, it's good to go. Now I'm gonna let it sit overnight, and then tomorrow we could possibly mount this thing on the car, drill some holes, and finish making it fit. All right, so this is after we glassed it. It's nice and hard. It's actually a week later. This thing feels pretty good. So the next step for this thing is I gotta trim all this extra fiberglass off, and then what we gotta do is we gotta fit this thing on this car and mount it so I can finish doing all the body work. And the way I'm gonna mount it is, this is how it originally mounts. The original bumper mounts to the car like that. We're gonna build a bracket off of that, and then we're gonna add some holes to the corner of this fender here that we can mount our bumper to. And as you can see, well, we already have a hole there, so that's good. But there isn't a lot of room. Looks like I need to hammer and dolly that a little bit too. It's weird. Anyways, let's see what we got over on this side. Yeah, this side has a hole too, so, and then another couple holes there, so. All right, well that's good. At least we got some holes to fasten our bumper to.
let me just catch you guys up on what I've been doing over here. So I got this thing mounted up. We put that aluminum bracket in here, we shaped it to fit, I drilled some holes, I was able to get it to mount, and then I actually used plastic bumper clips that we'd use on newer cars to mount it to the aluminum bracket, and it worked out pretty well. Now this plastic piece actually comes on the original bumper. It's sandwiched in between here, but we're kind of concerned about it because it has this harsh cutoff right here and it leaves this mean gap. So if you watched my last video on this thing, I fit up the rear bumper and it had the same issue. It's got mounting holes that go across here and it's got some huge gaps, and we're actually going to take a piece of plastic trim, we're going to make it kind of mimic like this. We're going to do that across the rear. We might have to do the same thing to the front, so just imagine a thinner piece of plastic that's mounted to the bottom of this fender, and it's just going to come all the way across, and this time we're going to make it taper all the way back so we don't have this huge gap here. Since this was on the original bumper, I'm pretty sure that there's a big piece that usually comes down here to wrap around the actual bumper, and it works well together. I just can't do it on this race car bumper. But we tried, it looks pretty good. It does have that OEM look to it, and I definitely don't want to lose that black trim look on the top of the bumper. I think it looks really good. So what I'm going to do now is take this off and remount the bumper back on there, and I'm going to finish mounting to the fender, however I'm going to do that, trimming it, and then we can finally take this thing off and do the final body work on it after we figure out how we want to mount it. Yeah, this is what it looks like without that piece. I mean, I personally don't really like it either. Hold on, let me focus this thing. Alright, that's better. Yeah, this bumper looks really good. I like it. I don't know if the owner is 100% with it, but we definitely got some wheel spacers on this side to give it that more aggressive look. You just got to picture this car slammed on the ground hella low, and yeah, but yeah, we're just gonna put a piece of trim like that in there just to cover up all that stuff. It'll look good in uniform. Probably paint it like a satin black. But yeah, I'm happy the way this bumper is fitting. This is fitting pretty flush, kind of where I want it at. On this side, it's out a little more, but it needs to be because the shape of this is different than over there. As you can see, this is way more rounded the way it's sticking out. It'll kind of offset the look a little bit. I am going to round that out a little bit to try to make it look like the other side, but I'm pretty happy with where it's at. I just need to mount it up in here, and then what I'm going to do is fix the arch, you know. I like this point here. I just need to add a little more arch to match the gap, and then I can actually start digging out all these holes, redoing all of the temporary fiberglass that I put to hold the bumper together, and really start mudding this thing up. While the mud is drying, I'm going to build a little lip here. It needs that for support. You know, this thing's going to go down the highway flopping around. So, and that's where we're going to cut it off. This video is getting pretty lengthy with all these steps that are involved with this bumper. And you know me, if you watch my videos, I don't like skipping steps. This might be entertaining, but in case you're taking a couple notes, this is really how this stuff works. I don't skip anything for you guys. Anyways, the next couple steps I'm going to put in the next video. It's going to include fiberglassing the front of that bumper, finishing up with some filler, primer, and then one more fitment before paint. So if you want to catch that, subscribe. Feel free to comment, share, hit that little bell so you see this video coming to you in the next couple days. Go work on something.